Welcome to the Complete Story Series, where I take trade paperbacks and single issues and I break them down into digestible bites to help you understand. Then I read them dramatically back to you. Today is the grand finale to the Dan Slott run for Spider-Man, with the second half of the Red Goblin going down swinging storyline. Part 1 I will link down below, but if you don't care and you just want to jump into this, here's your quick recap as to what happened last time. Norman Osborn discovered who Peter Parker really was, discovering his identity, and then he merged with the Carnage symbiote, becoming Red Goblin. He then decided to make Peter Parker's life just crazier as he attacked everyone within Peter Parker's life. That required Spider-Man's allies to come to his aid. And now, Norman has spread the Carnage symbiote to his grandson, Little Normie. Can Spider-Man take down 2 Red Goblins? We last left off with the Amazing Spider-Man finale. Norman Osborn learned who Peter Parker was, that he was in fact Spider-Man, and then he allowed himself to be taken over by the Carnage symbiote to become the Red Goblin. He then battled against Spider-Man's friends and even injured Spider-Man himself, and then he went off to find his little grandson and turn him into Kid Red Goblin. At this point in the game, all of Spider-Man's allies are injured and off the table, and Spider-Man himself is also injured, not sure what to do next. Back over at the bus station, Peter begins to help up Flash and tell everyone to sound off. Is everyone even still alive? Flash rolls over and tells them, "You suck." While everyone begins to get back up, Silk says that there's something important that she has to say. It's about Jonah. He heard them talking over the comms. He wants to help. Peter tells her no. He's done enough already. Jameis's screw up is the reason we're even in this mess. And for that, he shouldn't have brought you into this either. Flash could stay here and fix you all up while I take out Norman. Flash gets up telling him that he would rather help him. And Peter webs off telling him, "Not a chance, soldier. That's an order. You've already done enough." As Peter swings outside, Harry shouts to him, telling him, "Norman just took Normie and infected him. You need to do something." Peter says that there's no sign of them anywhere. And if Norman did cover Normie with a symbiote, there's really no way that he can track him down. Liz says that's fine. She already knows where they're headed. Alchemax. Before he left, he mentions something about handing over the family business. Peter tells her that that must be his endgame. Her company absorbed Oscorp. Harry shouts that he's got to do something. And Peter stops him, telling him, whoa. I can take care of this. We're going to get Normie back. Don't worry. Peter then turns to Mark and asks, does Alchemax have any more of that artificial anti-venom? Mark says that they're not supposed to, but it's kept in a new lab over on South Street. While Peter heads over there, Jonah continues trying to figure out ways to help, and while he looks over all of his files, he notices something. There are articles of venom popping up, and the photos came from someone named Sim. Jonah asks how could he be that stupid? I mean, he can't, can he? A few moments later, over at the fact sheet, a phone rings and someone answers it, calling out phone call for Mr. Sim. As Eddie Brock takes the phone, Jonah asks, "Mr. Sim, are you serious? Is your first name Biote? Anyway, I'm glad I got a hold of you. There's something that you and your better half need to do. And don't worry, it's for a good cause." Venom starts to cover Eddie's face and he says, "We're listening." As the night begins to set, Peter begins to sneak into the lab over on South Street and he finds the security team is already dead. He runs in to find the vault where the anti-venom is being kept, and as he goes inside, he finds it empty. Just then a Carnage bomb flies through the air, and through it, Norman says, "We had a deal. Now that you put back on the suit, looks like everyone needs to die." Peter shouts, "Don't you dare!" And the bomb explodes, throwing Peter against the wall, and he calls out to May and Mary Jane before passing out. A short while later, over at Stark Tower, Mary Jane gets ready to leave for the night when suddenly, the window breaks open and a voice tells her, "Stop right where you are." She hits the security panel, telling the building to activate the Watson protocol, and as flames begin to shoot out, Eddie shouts, "Stop! Not Osborn! We're to help, damn it!" Mary Jane says that she was not expecting Venom. And just then, Norman flies in on his glider asking, "Fire and sound? Shoddy work. Someone clearly didn't get the memo. Those may work on the competition, but not me." Eddie whips back, knocking Norman off of his glider, telling him, "We're not competition. We are her protector." While Eddie tries to hold Norman back, he tells Mary Jane that he would greatly appreciate it if she would turn off the sonics and flames, since we're trying to save you. Mary Jane reaches back to deactivate the security panel, and Eddie tells her, "Thank you." While the fight over at Stark Tower begins, Aunt May hears a knock at the door, and when she opens it, she finds little Normie standing there. May asks what is he doing here, and Normie says that he was out playing and got lost. Can he come in? May tells him, of course, just let her call his mother. She must be worried sick. And while May has her back turned, Norman begins to change and he lunges, but then he's stopped by two mechanical arms reaching out, slamming him into the wall. The arm slams little Normie repeatedly, and a voice tells him, "You will not dare lay a hand on this woman." As Doc Ock picks up Normie, he says, "That woman is forever under my care. If you want her, you must face the wrath of Dr. Octopus." May runs out in front of Ock asking, "What are you doing? Normie is just a child." And Ock tells her, "He is no mere child." Normie begins to get up and he begins to change and he says, "He's got me there. They call me Goblin Child." Back over at Stark Tower, Peter swings in to see Venom and Norman fighting. And as he lands, he sees Mary Jane slide on an Iron Man glove. He asks, "What does it do?" And she tells him, "Yeah, it's a repulsor glove. It's the one place where I'm actually armed. And with Norman and a Carnage symbiote, we're gonna need some help." Peter heads into the fight, stating, "Thanks for the vote of confidence." Peter punches Norman as he thinks to himself that there has to be a weakness somewhere. Every living, breathing thing, breathing. That's it. He punches Norman in the throat, and as Norman coughs, he tells him, "Ha ha ha, good try, but you're sticking your hand where it doesn't belong." And he turns, biting into Peter's wrist. Mary Jane powers up her glove, hitting Norman, and as the blast hits him, Norman laughs, telling him, "Looks like you're doing more harm to Venom than anyone." As Mary Jane stops attacking, Norman holds out his hand and he hits her with the same attack that he hit Johnny and Clash with. The needles begin to stick into her body, and Norman jumps onto his glider, stating, "Look at the time! I need to go pick up my grandson. I'm being such a bad grandpa." Peter shouts, asking, "Where's Normie?" And Norman asks, "Oh, didn't I tell you? I sent him over to play with Aunt May. Though, the old bat may be dead on her feet now." As he begins to fly away, Peter gets ready to follow when he notices that Norman bit through his web shooter. And Eddie then asks, "Hang on, if you want a fighting chance, you're gonna need all the help you can get. Take the Venom symbiote with you." Peter asks him, "What? There's no way in hell I'm doing that." And Eddie tells him, "We got some good hits in on him with the suit. And Spider-Man, you're just a guy. The Goblin got an upgrade, so it's time for you to get one. Take my symbiote." Mary Jane gets up telling him that he's right. No one loathes that thing more than her, but May Parker is in danger. He needs this. As Venom starts to climb up onto Peter, he thinks that this is a stupid plan, merging with Venom again? But a few seconds later, he swings out stating, "So it's the two of us again, huh? Gotta say, I already feel stronger and faster. This might work." Meanwhile, over at the Columbia University Medical Center, Flash continues helping those that were in the fight with Norman. As one of the doctors begins to take off Silk's mask, Flash yells, "Whoa! The masks stay on. If you need anything, cut through the fabric." Clash begins to scream in pain, and Flash tells him to take it easy. He's got him. Whatever the Goblin's done to them, it's way worse than they thought. Meanwhile, over at May's apartment, Otto continues to struggle with Normie, and to try and help, May breaks a chair over the kid. She shouts that she used to bake him cookies, and Normie yells, "Yeah, and you put raisins in them! You deserve to die!" Just as Normie gets back up to attack her, there's a loud boom, and through her door, Jonah steps in with a spider slayer stating J. Jonah Jameson is here to save the day. This suit is no match for these miscreants. As Jonah punches Normie, Norman flies in shouting that the child is the blood of my blood. He's destined for greatness, to rule over all of you in my name. Norman then tosses Otto to the side, and he stabs into the Spider Slayer suit, deactivating it. As both Otto Octavius and Jonah Jameson lay defeated, Norman looks over at May, stating that he is so sorry. "I'm just losing my head when it comes to family, you know." Normie asks, "What are we gonna do?" And Norman tells him, "Yes, we're going to leave Spider-Man a message." A few moments later, Spider-Man swings down just as Norman and Normie are flying away. But before Peter can attack, Norman tells him, "You may want to check on May while you can." Peter heads inside, and the first thing that he sees is Jonah's Spider Slayer suit, asking, "What is this thing doing here?" Jonah says that he tried his best, but he's afraid it wasn't enough. Before Jonah can go on, Peter stomps on the screen, and Jonah shouts from his apartment, "Damn it! There must be something I can do." Peter calls out to May, and as she answers, she holds Otto's body, both of them covered in Norman's spines. Peter looks at Otto, and May says that Otto saved her. And Peter says that's unbelievable. May tells him it's not. Anyone can be a hero. He taught her that. Peter looks at Otto and asks, "Why? Last time we met, you cost me everything." Otto says, "Why do you think? I still have your memories rattling around in my head. Your simpleton sensibilities of right and wrong." Peter gets up and tells May that they both need to check out. But don't worry, he's gonna save Normie. He swears it. A short while later, over the Alchemax building, Norman and Normie head inside and make their way to Liz's office, where her and Mark are waiting. Liz asks Normie if he's okay, and Norman tells her, "Eyes over here, the boy is fine. He's better than fine, actually." Liz tells him that that's enough small talk. He made it clear that this meeting was about him gaining control in exchange for her son back. Right here is all the paperwork that he would ever need to control this company. There's no legal way to just hand her company over. What does he think this is, Parker Industries? Norman tells her, that's one thing. There's a beneficiary clause, so once you're gone, your company falls to our little prince over here, Normie. Well, him and his loving legal guardian. Norman grabs the table and cracks it at Mark, stating, scratch that! His only living legal guardian. Pay attention, boy! This is how at Osborne tables a discussion. Liz pulls out a small device, hitting a button, and as she does, a door opens and Harry flies in on a glider with the Humatron, stating, I've always wanted you to stand up for me. Norman begins to change back into the Red Goblin, telling him, this should be fun. Sadly, though, robots do not scream. Harry flies by, grabbing Normie by the arm, telling him, I got you. And Normie starts to change, telling him, you left me! You should just go back to the love you actually love. Normie claws away at Harry, and Harry tells him, you can fight all you want, but I'm never letting you go, son. Norman then throws a small bomb, knocking Harry off of his glider, telling him, I am so done with the both of you. Time to say goodbye. Norman picks Liz up by her neck, throwing her out the window, asking, what is it with me and blondes in high places? Both Harry and Normie shout for Liz, and Norman tells Normie, oh boo-hoo, be bigger than this chump. It's time to grow up. But just then, Spider-Man swings in with Liz, stating, or not, sorry Goblin, you don't get to win that way, not twice. Normie looks at Norman and attacks him, shouting, this is supposed to be about Spider-Man being a bad guy, but he was you all along. Norman then changes his hand into an axe and he grabs Normie, telling him, fine, I will just cut you out of the plan altogether. But as he swings down, Peter grabs the axe, telling him, you should have known that there was no way I was going to let that happen to my godson. Harry grabs the glider, shouting to Norman that he should know. He's already dead to the family. And he throws the glider right into Norman's chest. Harry then grabs onto Normie, telling him, I'm so sorry that this all happened. But as he holds on, Normie shouts, I can't control it, don't touch me! Harry tells me he doesn't care. He is his son, and he promised he would never let him go. And slowly, the symbiote fades away. As Norman stops the glider, he grabs it, covering it with the symbiote, stating, I've had enough of this. You're always getting in the way, and I'm going to devour you whole. Norman takes the glider, flying it into Peter, knocking him out the window, and as he chases him, he starts lobbing Carnage bombs. Peter starts to swing to avoid them, and he says, you said you were going to kill everyone I ever loved, but you failed every time. And Norman asks him, is that so? Well, I did more than just lay a finger on them. In fact, I left little pieces of myself in them. Those tiny shards, all at the snap of a finger, will travel into their bodies and into their brains and stab them like little daggers. So, how about we see what happens? And just like that, Norman snaps his fingers. A few moments pass, and Norman says that he should be feeling at their pain and torment, but there's nothing. How? Flash jumps out with most of his anti-venom gone from healing everyone, and he says, yeah, you want to give someone some credit for that defensive play of the year? That's gonna be me. Peter looks at Flash and asks, what the hell happened? And Flash tells him, I did what a soldier does. I followed orders. It was after Goblin's attack on Clash that I noticed what had happened. Everyone who came in contact with the Goblin, they were tagged with those things. I used the anti-venom powers I had to remove them and ease the pain. And all those people are doing just fine. Peter shouts, all right! Corporal Eugene Thompson for the win! But how did you know about the first run-in with Norman? Flash smiles and he says, I overheard you talking to Silk, Pete. After that, it was easy to figure out where to go and who to help. Not such a dumb jock after all, huh, Puny Parker? Flash then says, all those times that I cop it off of you and got you to do my homework. We even now? Peter tells him, hell, I've forgiven Doc Ock and Venom today. You? I forgave you a long time ago, pal. Norman flies in with his glider, telling him, that's very touching, but this guy's a little annoying. The glider shoots down, biting down onto Peter's arm, sending him off the building. And Norman jumps down, tackling into Flash Thompson. Flash grabs onto Norman with what anti-venom he has left to burn him. And Norman tells him, look, underneath all this red, I'm still a goblin with all my goblin toys. Norman squeezes down on Flash's neck, electrocuting him, laughing. Poor Corporal Thompson, gone in a flash. Peter hears Flash scream out in pain, and after hearing that, he shouts, no! And Venom begins to take over. Peter begins to lose control of the symbiote. He screams for Norman. And he jumps down. I will kill you. He punches Norman so hard that he flies through several buildings. And then he shouts, we will eat its brains. But Flash leans up, telling him, no, you have to calm down, Pete. Please. Listen, that suit's good now. Or it can be. I helped make it that way. Please, don't let your rage infect it. Don't be the reason it goes evil again. Peter looks at Flash, and as he regains control, he tells him, I'm sorry. Come on. We gotta get you somewhere. But Flash tells him, there's no time. Peter says, well, is there enough anti-venom to heal you back up? And Flash tells him no. Peter tells him, okay, I can give you back Venom. Venom can heal you. But Flash yells, no! It could still die if it comes in contact with my skin. I have anti-venom in my bloodstream. Besides, you need this edge. People are in danger. You just sent the Red Goblin to the heart of the city. People need you. They need Peter Parker, the amazing Spider-Man. My hero. My friend. And as the last breath leaves Flash's lips, Peter could not even think of what to say. But back over with Norman, his body crash lands into the middle of the city, and suddenly people begin taking pictures of him. He asks what's going on, and a Spider-Man cosplay tells him that this is his corner. Who is he supposed to be anyway? Norman tells him, okay, and he gets punching right through the man, telling him, I'm the guy who kills Spider-Man. Get it? Who else wants a picture? Peter swings down, shouting, stop laughing! You just killed my friend! This is not a joke! And now another man is dead. Norman tells him, you know, that's the thing. Spider-Man cares too much. What would you do if I just started killing everyone? He starts throwing several Carnage bombs into the air, and as some of them start going off in the crowds, Peter webs everyone up to contain as much of the chaos as possible. Norman laughs, telling him, nicely done, Bug Boy. You're on fire! Or rather, will be. Peter swings down with another explosion going off, and he manages to catch himself on a street pole before hitting the ground. The officers call out to him, but Peter tells them, get away! And the officers shout, no! Behind you! Norman grabs him, slamming him down, shouting, still holding back! That's your problem, there's no killer in you. Norman Osborn will be victorious. But as Peter struggles, he says, that's where you're wrong! This isn't your win! This is Carnage's win! All the credit will be to that suit and Cletus Cassidy. Inside the back of Norman's mind, he can hear Cletus laughing. Yes! I'm the one who killed Spider-Man! Norman pulls back, shouting, no! I'm the one who calls the shots. It was all me. Peter gets up saying to himself, that's his weakness. Pride. Achilles' heel, meet Norman's ego. He stands up telling him, how about we do this once and for all? The two of us, no gimmicks. Sound familiar? Peter then removes the Venom symbiote, telling him, don't worry, I know what I'm doing. Get clear of all these flames. Norman rips off the Carnage symbiote, shouting, damn you, I never needed anyone. This is the real me. All I've ever needed to kill you. Peter charges in, punching Norman before he has a chance to attack. But now that Norman doesn't have the suit, Peter's spider sense is working again, and it's pinging like crazy. He looks back at a car on fire and realizes the gas tank is about to explode, and as it does, it knocks him to the ground. Norman gets up stating, tides have turned, Spider. Norman then begins beating on Peter, and as Norman swings once more, Peter catches it, punching back. He punches over and over, telling Norman, my friends, my family taught me everything that I know. They are with me in everything that I do. They give me strength to fight and live. And that last punch, that was for Flash. You're gonna be webbed up like every old common crook. You will live, and you will remember this day. Norman calls out to the symbiote to come back, but with Norman and the symbiote separated, Peter takes a motorcycle, slamming it down, causing it to explode. As he's knocked away, Peter gets up saying again with the gas tank, did it work? Norman, show your colors, are you red or green? Norman leans up and begins to speak, but he's talking in gibberish. Peter says, maybe that's a win? All the people he's hurt, no more. But through the fire, Jonah walks up holding out a gun, telling Norman, you're not fooling anyone with that act. This ends now. Peter shouts, Jonah, what are you doing? Put the gun down. And Jonah says, I'm not stupid. I know how this works. He's just gonna come back and take someone else. This must end now. Jonah pulls the trigger, and the gun goes off. Peter jumps in the way, shouting, I won't let you! And Jonah asks why. And Peter tells him, because I could. It means I have to. Because with great power comes great responsibility. To everyone, even the worst of us. Later, once Norman is taken to solitary confinement, John Jameson tells Peter that he's breaking a lot of rules since he isn't an Avenger anymore. And Peter says he knows. He just needs to check on something. Peter stands in front of Norman's cell and he asks, have you told anyone? And Norman says, I know your secret. The world's biggest screw-up. You're Norman Osborn. Peter pauses and tells him, okay, and who are you? And Norman says, my name is Cletus Cassidy. Peter turns around telling him, yeah, we're done here. Slowly, things begin to go back to normal. Liz used Alchemax and Dr. Steve to create a method to remove the last bits of the Carnage symbiote from Norman. As Norman comes off the table, Harry hugs him, telling him that he swears he's going to make their name mean something good. He will not be like his father. He will love him no matter what. And Normie asks, no matter what? And Harry tells him, yeah. As Normie hugs Harry back, a little glint of red shinies are in Normie's eye. And he says, that's good to know. However, with everyone moving on, the one day that people didn't want to come comes. The day that the son, brother, high school football star, and the head of the Spider-Man fan club was finally put to rest. Peter steps forward to Flash Thompson's casket. And he says Flash was so many things, but who am I kidding? He was a bully, and he was my bully. When I think back to all of the lockers that I was shoved into, it also makes me realize that bullies don't come out of nowhere. Someone always hurts them first. I didn't find that out about Flash until many years later. And then on that day, things changed. Flash once said that he found a hero to look up to, so he started a life of service. He helped his fellow man, and he saved so many lives, protecting others in ways that people will never know about. He became a man that we can all be proud of. He himself became somewhat of a bully, but things can change, so maybe one day, I can become a man that Eugene Flash Thompson would be proud of. Even though we were friends, there was one thing that I never told him, and that was that I am his #1 fan. He was the hero that I look up to. As the services start to end, everyone begins to leave, except one man, Jonah. He stares down and May tells Peter that he should go talk to him. They're family, and Jonah needs help. Peter waits for everyone else to leave, and then he walks up to him, telling him that once when he was 15, he made a mistake that others paid for. He's felt that weight since he was 15. It doesn't help, but if he was here, he would forgive him. Everyone that you love, they would forgive you. That's what they do. It's what we do. After everything that we've been through, I can forgive you for everything and anything. Jonah turns back and says, Peter, my boy. But before he can say anything, there's a scream in the distance, and Jonah says, well, what are you standing around for? Stop wasting time, you're needed out there. Peter asks, needed? As in necessary, me? And Jonah shouts, Parker! Peter pulls on his tie and he says, all right, I get it. Jeez. Jonah watches Peter run off and he starts to pick up the clothes that Peter left, stating, dang blast it, these will get all wrinkled. What would that boy do without me? And so, Peter swings into action, still recovering from his gunshot wound because that's what he does. He fights the good fight, saving the world one friendly neighborhood at a time. And there you have it, folks, the conclusion to Amazing Spider-Man as written by Dan Slott. Now, they've already started up the new run. We have Nick Spencer writing Amazing Spider-Man, and it started over with a new #1. Now, sadly, I really hope they bring back Agent Venom eventually, but he needs to stay dead for a little while. Let this death affect people. Let them realize what has happened. And if you want to know my direct feelings on Agent Venom's death, I will link that video down below. But what do you think about Dan Slott's run on Spider-Man now that it has officially concluded? What did you think of Red Goblin? And what did you think about his whole run? And are you excited about Nick Spencer's new Spider-Man? Let me know in the comments down below, and don't forget you can find me on Twitter where you can ask anything you really want and I'll answer you over at Comicstorian. I'll see you guys later.